Hello guys, I'm back from another video, and today we're talking about Deku was a mercenary. So, in the last video Deku, after Izuku defeated Stain in his internship, they leave as they were told that they're going to be going to a training camp. So, after Izuku goes to a mall with his classmates, aka Jiro and Momo, to get their, things for the camping trip, Momo was, just mostly paying for the stuff. Because after all, she's basically a living wallet. Anyway, so, when Mina saw this, she thought that Izuku was hooking up with both Jiro and Momo as she spread the rumor. When Izuku came back with, Jiro and Momo in tow, let's just say everybody was looking at him, including Mineta and Kaminari, because they were quite jealous. So, when they go onto the trip towards the training camp, just like in canon, they fell down, but unlike in canon, Izuku tells Momo to create a large motorcycle so they can ride on to go to the training camp. Unfortunately, it's a bike that can only support like maybe 5 people. Even though I said in in the video, the last video about what if Deku was a mercenary, I told all of you guys that the bike can only support 4 people, but I was a bit sleepy at the time, and the actual estimate for that bike is about 5 people. So after Izuku rides on with you know Momo, Jiro, Bakugo, and Ochako riding on the back, Izuku started leaving, but Momo creates 2 little bikes, which, by the way, they're not motorbikes, they're actually just snakes, as in, you have to pedal on them. So, yeah, they can only support 4 people, but many of his classmates decided to fight for them. And so, when they go to the training camp, they made it there without any hitches. But they were attacked by some monsters, basically the earth monsters that one of the Wild Wild Pussycats made. But Izuku just told Momo to create a sniper rifle and destroyed them. So, when they got there, they made dinner, and many of his other classmates arrived as they also ate dinner, as they basically gone to sleep, but the next day they were training. Izuku was training on making more blades, making a mountain of blades. As when Class 1B arrives, let's just say, Kendo, one of Class 1B's students, was pretty interested in fighting Izuku. But when the fight was about to start, she confessed for a little, condition. The only way for Izuku to win is by touching her back, her waist, and her shoulder. But if she wins, Izuku's gonna be going on a date with her, because during the the UA Sports Festival, she was, kind of interested in him, to the point that she kind of got a crush on him. But when Izuku won, she started crying, saying, "I can't believe I just lost. I want to have a date with him." Like that. So, after that, they finished dinner, as Izuku gone to his camp, or should I say his tent, as he basically gone to sleep. So, that's basically the explanation about last episode, and so, let's talk about what happens next. So, it's going to be nighttime. It's going to be fast forward. So, it's basically nighttime in the My Hero Academia verse, as one of his classmates says this. Izuku, do you know what is going to happen? As Izuku just says this. I don't know. The teachers didn't really tell us. As Aizawa and Vlad King arrive, as they say that they're going to be having a little test. It's called the Courage, or the Test of Courage. Everybody's going to be going to inside of the forest, and if they were to get scared in the forest, they're allowed to go back to the camp. So, everybody's excited, as they're going to be in teams of 3. Izuku is going to be obviously with, Izuku's going to be, obviously, his teammates are going to be Jiro and Momo, as everybody was looking at him, including Kendo because she wanted to be with Izuku. So, everybody was told to go into the forest as they started going into it. So, after a while of looking around in the forest, Izuku thought this forest was, boring. Typical. Anyway, so Izuku just starts looking around in the forest as his, sorry about that. Um, um, Wait for a second. Izuku started going into the forest with Jiro and Momo as Jiro and Momo started, you know, locking, arms together. As Jiro says this, "Hey Momo, what are you looking at?" says Momo. As Jiro says this, "Why are you looking at, Izuku that? And why are you locking arms? I'm supposed to be her, Izuku's fiance. And besides, he's just her bodyguard." As she says this, "Well, I'm obviously afraid, so I need Izuku to be with me." As she says this, "That's not an excuse, that's more like a goddamn insult." As she says this, "What did you say?" As they start getting ready to fight each other, as Izuku just says this, "Can both of you just behave yourselves?" As they say this, "Oh, sorry, Izuku," says Jiro. And for Mo, she says this, "Oh, sorry, honey." As Jiro says this, "What did you say?" She kind of looks angry as, Momo starts getting angry as well, as Izuku is starting to get pissed off. But Izuku just ignored it, because they're currently in the, wait for a second, in the training camp. So, after a while of looking around, they see something weird. Or at least, smell, not looking. As Izuku smells smoke. Fire! As Izuku looks around, as Izuku just says this, "Jiro, Momo, do you smell that?" As they smell the fire and smoke, as they see this, "Yeah, I can definitely smell smoke." As for Jiro, she says this, "Yeah, maybe it's a villain attack?" As a person comes out of the shadows, as he starts clapping, "Well, well, well, it's been a long time, Mr. Izuku Midoriya." As Izuku just says this, "So, you finally showed yourself, Tomura Shigaraki." As he says this, "So, you know my name." "So, how do you know my name?" As Izuku just says this, "Well, during one of my missions, I heard this man was talking about this kid named Tomura Shigaraki. Apparently he's the so-called predecessor, or should I say, um, wait, wait for a second, the inheritor of All for One, the quirk that's able to take away quirks and give them to right." As he says this, "Correct. So, it's time for you to die." As he starts charging towards Izuku, as being another person looking on like Tomura's fight against Izuku, is Konagiri. As Izuku just says this, "There's no use holding back anymore." As Izuku uses his Zombania, Zombania the Fool, which is a weaker version of his true Zombania, Zombania the Harlequin. As Izuku makes a quick strike and slices his head off. As when, well, wait for a second. When Konogiri saw that, he starts charging towards, Shigaraki to try and save him. But Izuku looks over as he tells, wait for a second again. Tells Momo to throw a trap. As she says this, "Oh, yeah." As she throws a trap. This trap destroys the collar that Konagiri usually wears, killing him once and for all. So there's no more escape for you villains. After all, we did kill your one way of escaping. As one of them being Momo said this, "It actually worked." So, let me give you a little flashback on how, well, Izuku knows about this. So, Izuku was thinking about what would happen if the villains come back, as Izuku commissioned the help of Momo and Jiro. So, Jiro told some of his, her, well, henchmen, aka her father's henchmen, to infiltrate the League of Villains. After they infiltrated it, they heard that they're gonna be attacking the training camp where Jiro, Izuku, Momo, and the other students of UA are going to. As when Izuku heard of that, Izuku asked the help of Momo to create some special traps that specialize in their quirks. So, during the whole preparing thing for the attack at, the training camp, her henchmen were talking about several of the other members. The other members had specific types of quirks, which she used in her advantage, creating special traps that specialize in their, you know, defeating. So, when the other villains arrived and saw the dead bodies of Shigaraki and Konagiri, these two villains were. What is their names again? I kind of forgot. I think his name was like Moonfish or whatever. Um, I think he's the one with the blade tooth quirk, which gives me that horrible feeling. Ugh. Every time when I see that, every time when I see his like tooth blades, it gives me that horrible feeling. Like, just imagine you're just imagine you're that guy, and you had to like walk around using those. Just imagine you're trying to eat, and you still have that the ground taste or something. Like, you literally have you're going to the bathroom after you um after that. Like, after you finish going to the bathroom, using your teeth to walk around, you're gonna start eating, and you start tasting the bathroom floor. Yeah, that sounds like a horrible quirk to have. So, Moonfish starts charging towards Izuku, as Izuku just says this. You call those blades. As Izuku creates a blade made out of Damascus steel. By the way, Damascus steel is not really that powerful or strong in actual real life. They're actually not as, strong. But in the anime world, just imagine it's pretty strong. So, Izuku creates a Damascus steel blade, resembling a katana, as Izuku charges forward and slices off the teeth of this guy. As, well, Izuku tells Momo to throw the trap, as she brings out a gag. This gag stops him from creating his, blade like teeth, as he tries to use his quirk, but instead it just deflects and just, makes him stop using his quirk. So, the rest of the students started looking around trying to find Izuku, Momo, and Jiro, as when Aizawa was told of this villain attack, they started going towards, Koda and the other students. When they saw Izuku finally defeating the rest of the villains, Izuku throws a moonfish at them, as Izuku says this, "Don't worry, we already defeated them." As one of them said this, "So what about the other villains?" Izuku just hides the body of the headless Shigaraki and the remains of Konagiri in a nearby tree, so nobody can know that Izuku actually defeated them and killed them. So Izuku just says this, "I don't know, but I did remember that there was a villain attack over there. I smelled like fire." As he says this, "Thank you, Izuku." As they started moving out with the rest of the, teachers and the rest of the Wawa Pussycats. So, Izuku started moving out with Jiro and Momo in tow, as they see a fight between Froppy, Ochako, and a girl with blonde hair and a creepy, demeanor, asking for their blood. As Izuku just says this, "So this is Himiko Toga, the murderous psychopath of a girl." As Izuku tells Momo to bring me the trap. As Izuku comes out of the shadows, as Izuku just says this. So you must be Himiko Toga, right? As she says this. Ooh, you look cute. I absolutely love this handscape. As Izuku grabs her and starts putting the trap on her face. This trap is a iron mask. This iron mask stops her from getting the blood. As Izuku grabs her like villain gear, which is the needle thing. As she says this, "What did you do to me?" As Izuku just says this, "Stop using your quirk." As it stops her from using her quirk, she tries to get this thing off, but it doesn't work. As Izuku grabs her and tells Momo to make him some handcuffs. So, after grabbing onto, this girl, Izuku captures her. As both Ochako and Jiro, not Ochako and Jiro, I meant, Ochako and, Froppy say thank you to Izuku. As Izuku just says this, "Ugh, you're welcome. But first, try and bring them to the teachers. And if he were to escape, if she were to escape, just tell me." As she says this, "You got it, Izuku," as they start moving out. As Jiro says this, "So, are you happy about that?" As Izuku just says this, "What do you mean?" As she says this, "Happy about, her complimenting you. I'm, after all, your fiance, so," as Izuku just says this, "Heavens no. After all, I am supposed to marry you." As Momo was still kind of a bit angry that Izuku just told her that, thinking in her mind that Izuku should be with her, but it would be a bit, crazy. But she's still conflicted about, about, um, wait for a second, guys. Sorry about that. She's still conflicted if Momo should, marry Izuku and leave, Jiro in the dust, or just, let, Jiro, let Jiro have her way with Izuku. But it would mean that she would be, you know, you know, releasing her only love. But she doesn't care right now. The only thing that she cares about is saving her classmates. And so, the rest of the students, mostly Izuku, Jiro, and Momo, defeat the rest of the League of Villains. After defeating, what's his name? What's his face? After defeating Mustard by using a special type of gas that they specially made so they could stop the gas that Mustard makes, and, defeating him, the rest are pretty easy. Like, for example, Spinner, I think his name was, the guy that's supposed to be like a Stain ripoff. Yeah, a Stain ripoff. Ezekiel just captures him by just grabbing his sword and just putting it at his face. As Ezekiel creates more blades, saying, "Do you want to die?" He just surrenders instantly. As for the rest, they were instantly defeated. Except for one. A guy by the name of Muscular, which, after he came back and tried to find, what's his face, aka, Shigaraki and Konagiri, they see that, or at least he sees that they've been killed, as he says this. So, some hero or kid, or at least hero in training actually defeated him and killed him. Oh, how bad. But it doesn't matter. I might have, lost my target, being that Koda kid, and lost the battle between these heroes, but when I saw you dead in that little stump over there, I might find someone that will be interesting to fight. He smiles sadistically. As Izuku was done defeating the rest of the villains, as they were in the camp, While they're in the camp, just relaxing after that little incident, they heard noises in the forest as they see Muscular, the psychopathic serial killer, ready for a fight. Wait for a second. So, when Izuku sees him, Izuku just says this. So, you must be my. Mm, you, so. You must be one of my targets. As he says this. Targets? What do you mean, kid? As Izuku. Well, this is actually going to be a bit of a flashback. So, when he was doing some other types of work, mostly getting ready to start getting ready for for the wait for a second for the training camp, Izuku was given a mission, defeating a guy by the name of Muscular. After Izuku was told of this, Izuku decided to do that mission after he finishes the training camp, but Izuku accepts it anyway. But when Izuku saw Muscular, at that point, Izuku starts getting ready to fight him. After all, he did got a message from Jiro's you know bodyguards that are basically posing as like villains for the League of Villains. After telling that a guy named Muscular is actually in their team, Izuku accepted it. No questions asked. Izuku accepted the offer to defeat him or kill him, and Izuku did. And now Izuku wants to kill him. The heroes arrive as they see Muscular. Kota was terrified, seeing Izuku getting ready to fight Muscular. As Aizawa tells Izuku, Izuku, what are you doing? You're crazy. Do you really think that you can actually fight him? As Izuku just says this. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Besides, I've seen worse. I've seen hell and back. After all, I am a part of the Asanai Saba, an elite group in Saudi Arabia that specializes in assassination. As Izuku brings out his blade, as Izuku says his, Zombania, the Harlequin, as the creature appears, as everybody sees the large Harlequin type creature with a mask similar to a Harlequin clown, a jester, and the face sadistically blew out this black, dark mist. As Izuku just says this, my client told me that I had to kill you. Apparently he was a victim of yours. He paid a pretty high cost. And I won't let you hurt my classmates. Especially my other client over there, Momo Yaoyorozu, and my fiance, Jiro. So, you ready to die? As he says this, you really think that you can kill me, kid? I'm a psychopath. Nobody can kill me. I'm a king of murder. And you think, kid, that you're stronger than me just because you're from that Hassan, whatever the frick it's called. As Izuku just says this. How arrogant. As Izuku starts creating blades upon blades, just imagine Izuku's using the noble phantasm of Emiya Shiro or Shiro Emiya from Fate Grand Order, the Unlimited Blade Works. So Izuku starts creating blades as they appear out of nowhere behind him. As Izuku raises his arm and pushes it towards, Muscular, as the blade starts stabbing through his body, but he starts creating more muscle fibers. As he starts charging towards Izuku, Izuku dodges him like a dance between a bullfighter and a bull. Izuku just says this, you're like a monster. A monster. A monster that only lives for rage and anger and destruction. as he says this. Say these things again, kid, and you're gonna die. As Ezekiel just says this. Oh, you really think that I'm going to die here? How ignorant. As Ezekiel starts creating little blades, as the large, Harlequin type creature grabs these blades and started fighting, Muscular. Wait for a second again. Muscular, while fighting this thing, felt like it's even stronger than him, causing him to go down to the ground. Basically, it puts him down towards the ground as he says this. How the hell are you stronger than me? What is this thing? As Ezekiel just says this. This is the power of a Zombania. The physical manifestation of our will and our legend. I was given the Zombania. Or, not really given. More like created. Our Zombanias are created when we think of it. I was given my Zombania after I finally joined the Asanai Saba. When I earned their trust. When I did, I was given the task of making my own. And so, I created it. My Zombania. Hassan. The Hassans. Said to be the greatest assassins. Just like me. And my Zombania represents that well. Zombania, the Harlequin. A bringer of death and destruction. Just like you. But I control it well while you just uses it with a maddening grin. And you mostly use it as a tactic. A tactic to just make everybody fear you. It makes you look pathetic. As he says this, how am I losing? This kid, he's a monster. A monster that's out of my level. As Ezekiel just says this. In fact, you don't deserve to live. After all, my client just told me about that. And it's my job to satisfy my customers. After all, I am a mercenary. As Ezekiel crushes his fingers. Like, Ezekiel makes a fist with his hand. As his Zombania starts tearing apart when he tries to use muscle fibers to heal himself, it was too slow and starts ripping him apart as, one of the heroes being, I think her name was like Madeley says this. Ezekiel, stop! That's enough! As Ezekiel just says this. But your child over there, she seems to be happy over there, seeing the man that killed his parents pay for his sins. And besides, my client told me that it's my job to kill him. So, it's my job to satisfy any customer that gives me their, a request. As Ezekiel, seeing, Muscular, terrified and bloodied, says this. So, are you afraid? As Muscular cannot speak, the blood in his mouth is basically stopping him from, talking. As Ezekiel just says this. This is the end for you. As Ezekiel stabs him right in the head. Everybody was shocked. The villains were shocked. The villains were basically over there, next to the heroes. Because when they saw Ezekiel fighting Muscular and defeating him, they were terrified. But for Toga, she felt absolutely... wait for a second, sorry about that. After she saw Ezekiel defeating him and seeing all the blood covering her, covering Ezekiel, she was ecstatic. As Ezekiel just says this. So, if you want to tell me any other questions, teacher, just tell me in the morning. I'm tired. So, after that day, everybody just falls asleep, including Izuku. But one of his teachers, being Aizawa and Vlad King, wanted to question him after the, training camp. And so, everybody, um, um, wait for a second again. Sorry about that. So, everybody goes to sleep. So, before you leave, guys, well, it's about this. Well, it's about my idea of making a what if about Danmachi, which I recently started watching and seeing several like what ifers making a what if Bell something, because I was pretty interested in this series for a while now, and it was a part of my anime watch list. And when I saw it, it was actually pretty fun to watch. And so, if you guys want to vote on here about if I should do this type of what ifs, like what if Bell was something, or what if Bell had something, just tell me in the comments of this, post. And so, this will be the end of this episode. And so, I hope you liked the video. Comment and subscribe, and also like the video so you can support my channel. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye!